Welcome to Book Talk. This is your host, Anthony Moirore. And at Book Talk, we always have a guest come and tell us about his book or her book. Today, we have someone who's been here before, but said, I'm coming back. And sure, he's back. And even before I move on, I just welcome him so that we can proceed with him around us. Please welcome to the show, Larry Davis. Hi, Larry.
Thank you. Hey, hello, Anthony. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to be back. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, and we are glad to have you back here. You shared with us last time where we talked about spiritually hacked. But today, we are going back to something that you also have a passion on, which is education. Now, for those of you who may not have seen the previous episode that we had with Larry, I would like to highlight to you that Larry is an educator. He's written several books that improve schools and teacher retention, and is presented in more than 20 cities and states.
Yes.
So he's got the experience. He's been a superintendent. He's headed schools. And so he has quite much of an experience. Now, the last time he was here, we talked something about Christian principles and on the book that is written known as Spiritually Hacked. But today we are going to be on another topic. So here we go. Now, that's the introduction, Riley, but there's something maybe you would have wanted to add to what I just introduced you to.
Well, you know, Anthony, I think the introduction was perfect because we talked about spiritually hacked and all things are made possible through Jesus Christ who strengthens us, right? Amen. It's my son's favorite verse, Philippians 4:13. And I actually got him a hoodie and my daughter a hoodie that says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So perfect introduction. And like you said, I'm a man of God. I'm a blessed father of two, and I work as an educator. Education is what I do, not who I am. I am a man of God. I'm a servant of God. I'm a parent first and foremost. So we're here to talk about something that is near and dear to me, that is very, I'm very passionate about. And it's education, is educating our children. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. And even before we go further, I see something behind you. It says, can you move slightly to one side? Dad, a son's first hero. Please tell us something about that.
So let me tilt this a little bit more and you'll see something above it. And it says, a dad is a daughter's first love.
And
beautiful. So you see my son and my dad, yes. So
yeah, so you've talked both about your son and your daughter, and
that's right.
That's a complete family. I mean,
that's right.
And, yeah, go ahead.
No, I said, and that's when we look at the Bible and we look at the word, our charge from God is to be good parents, right? To be good stewards. And a good steward is someone who makes sure their children are taken care of, their families taken care of first and foremost, right? So yes, so being a dad is the greatest job in the world. Yeah. I don't take days off. I don't call sick, and I never take vacation. Being a dad, that's how great that job is.
Beautiful. And I like the fact that someone said that home is the first school of any child.
Yes.
So if they start well, that's good for them. If they start bad, then someone somewhere is going to have a hard time.
I agree. If they're not opening up books at home, they're not opening up books at school.
Great.
If they're not listening to their parents at home, they're not listening to teachers at school. You're exactly right.
Oh, yeah, sure. Now, we go into the book that you've written. It's known as, please tell us, Working with our 4D students.
Yes.
Yes, and yes, I understand working with I understand, and students, I understand. But what's the 4D?
Defiant, difficult, disrespectful, and disruptive.
Defiant, difficult, disrespectful, and disruptive.
And disruptive, yes.
Now, those are students who have come from maybe and also supportive home. So they are defiant, they are difficult, they are disrespectful and disruptive.
Are there students who haven't had success in school?
Yeah.
And so if they haven't found anybody who supported them at the school, or who decided to build a relationship with them at the school, who's connected with them at the school, they're not connected to the school. So they feel invisible. So how do they make themselves visible? By being defiant, disrespectful, disruptive, So and that's what and disrespectful. So you have to look at those things. So sometimes it's the things, and I'm gonna say this all the time in my eyes, it's the actions of the adults that could curb the actions of children. Because every time a child acts up, it's a teachable moment. And we don't have to punish them for everything they do wrong, right? There's no school in the world that can say we are a top-rated school because of how we discipline kids. No, there's not any school in the world that has become a blue ribbon school, a top flight school, a A-rated school because they punished kids into it. No, they became that way because they built relationships with kids. And the book, Working with Our 4D Students, talks about, I call it brace yourself, BRACE. It beliefs, relationships, attitudes, culture, and environment. But this is all based on adults belief, adult relationships with children, adults attitudes, adult built cultures, adult built environments, not students, right? And so when we look at those things, we learn what we do in these 5 areas will help a student far more than any punitive action we can ever give a kid. In fact, whenever we send a kid home, that kid is missing school. So there's no learning taking place, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I say working with and not dealing with. You deal with a power outage. You deal with running out of gas. You deal with things. When you deal with something, it's a frustration. When you work with something, it's cooperative. You're working with it. It's more communicative. It's more cooperative. But when you deal with something, it's a frustration. So that's why the book is titled Working with Our 4D Students. And the thing is, every student can be a 4D student at some point in their lives if they don't have the right adults in it.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. And it's quite a challenge. I mean, I've been in school, and everybody who's listening to this has been in school, and you can attest to this, that in every school that you go to, you'll never miss those students. That's my imagination. If in my school they were there, in other schools I've heard they are there. So in every area, just like they say, you can never miss a madman in a market. That's an African saying.
Now, tell me about that. A madman in the market. What does that mean?
I mean, every market that you go to, you are going to meet with challenges. I mean, people who are not cooperative, someone who wants to disrupt you, someone that wants to just make trouble anyhow. So in every market, there's a madman. So that's what we say.
I like
that. You find that if you agree with that, I mean, you've been to jobs, you've been to schools, and you'll always find some difficulty somewhere. Is that true?
It's exactly true. There's no message without the mess.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have the mess before you get your message. As the Christians say, there's no testimony without the test. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to understand that. And here's the thing, though. You can't prepare yourself for the next journey in your life without going through trials and tribulation. Right. So before you can get ready for this next big thing in your life, you need to deal with things that prepare you for it. No one grows stronger by dealing with their strengths. We only grow stronger by dealing with our weaknesses, right? We only grow from our mistakes, right? We only learn from problems, right? So if Anthony wants to be the king of whatever, or a CEO or a CFO, first and foremost, he has to learn, right? He has to learn. He has to learn what are the things he doesn't know about the CEO role. What are the things he doesn't know about the CFO? Because that role he's never had before, right? So these challenges, as we see them, and the challenges, it may be a person, it may be a learning difficulty, it may just be new, it may just be a group of people who are trying to hold you back. Again, these difficult people in our lives, right? I always look at those as opportunities because those difficulties is going to make me better.
Oh, yeah, sure. And I like the fact, just like you mentioned before, you're using dealing with the challenges, difficulties, and then we come back to working with the students that are 4D. Now,
Yes.
can we go slowly here? You talk about brace, which is BRACE. Let's believe. Let's start with the believe, which is the B. Yeah, please tell us how to go about that.
So here's the thing.
Mhm.
And so if I don't want to speak about it from just a classroom perspective, because I want everyone to kind of understand what I'm saying here.
Okay.
There's a family in our community. There's people in our community, and you know that 9 times out of 10, when you see this group of people, it's going to be some kind of problems, right? So automatically our belief is, okay, here comes this group of people, there's going to be problems, right? It's going to be some kind of issue, right? So our belief, even without knowing the facts, every time we see these people, our belief is, here comes drama, here comes some kind of problem. Well, that's the way some teachers look at students, because generationally, the big brother, the big sister was problems. You know, the younger brother, younger sister. Now here's the last sibling coming in, and they go, "Oh, I had that student's brothers. They're horrible. I feel so bad for you." You see, these are our beliefs. Our beliefs are, there's a term called the halo effect, right? And the halo effect wants you to believe that a good kid can never be bad, and a bad kid can never be good.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you think about that, I want to make sure my phone is turned down too, Anthony. Sorry about that. But when you think about that belief that this kid can never be good and this kid can never be bad.
Yeah.
There are students who teachers think are great students. They're top 10 students. They're great kids. They come from great families. Their parents work in the district. These students can turn in late work and not have any problems. But then there's those students that, oh, this kid doesn't never do his homework. He never does this. So he finally turns in work late and the teacher won't take it because it's late. The good student gets a break. The bad student doesn't. That's a belief, right? And this teacher feels justified in that because traditionally this kid is a bad kid. So why should I expect anything different? Yeah. And the teacher feels justified in taking the work from the good kid is, well, this kid normally does all their work. So this is just one, I'm just making this one exception this one time. But it's more than that. So that's the belief. Our belief, that's an adult belief that a kid can never be a good kid, and a bad kid can never be a good kid, and a good kid will never be a bad kid. But we know that they're children, and that's why we're there to help them grow.
That's the work of the. I mean, that's why you are there as a teacher, to show them and guide them in the right direction. Exactly. So in here you are pointing to the fact that I should have that belief that I have the potential to influence this young mind into moving in the right direction. That's right. And because they're in the same class with this other one, whom I perceive to be more brighter, more cooperative, and make them bond together, blend together, and assist one another. And the belief I have to have with me is that any change is possible if someone is given the right guide.
That's why you took the job. That's why you took the job, right? And when you don't believe a child can change, what you're saying is, I don't believe in my skills as an educator, because that's my job. Right? My job is to take that child where they are when they come into my building, my classroom, and take them to where I need them to be when they leave at the end of the year. Yeah. My job is not to judge them. And when we start judging children, those are our beliefs, right? Yeah, sure. So, yeah. And we even judge kids. Here's the thing. Let's say in the United States and in Texas for sure, right? So 4 elementary schools will feed into 2 middle schools, right? Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, 4 elementary schools will feed into a middle school. 2 middle schools feed into 1 high school. Okay. Right. Yeah. And there are people on campuses who will say, "Oh, I can tell what kids came from which middle school based on their attitude, how they behave." Right. And so what you're saying is, based on this kid's neighborhood, this kid's zip code, I can tell you if that's a good or a bad kid. See, that's a belief. And that's wrong. So you've already prejudged this kid. You've already set the standard that this kid is not going to make an A in your class because you expect the worst. And when this kid gives you the best, you still give that kid the lowest possible grade because why should you give them the best grade? Those are our beliefs. And those are kids. And Condoleezza Rice said, we should not, our level of education should not be dictated based on our zip codes.
Yeah.
You know, and so a belief is that a kid comes from a certain neighborhood, a kid comes from a certain community, a kid comes from a certain family. That's going to be a bad kid, good kid, or average kid, right? So that's what we look at. And those are our beliefs.
So in working with these 4D students, we need, first of all, to adjust our beliefs.
Definitely. Okay.
So let's go into relationships. What do you say about it? I mean, that's the R in the brace.
You know, here's the thing. Everyone in this world is, I don't care if they say they're a recluse. I don't care if they say they're an extrovert or introvert. They're relational, right? They have to have some type of relationship. That's just our sanity, right? Yeah. You have to have some kind of outlet, some kind of intake, right? So our relationships, we know this. Students come to school when they're known by their teachers, engaged in their work, and connected to the school. Known by teachers, engaged and connected. Known, engaged, connected. All those are relational, right? All those things are relational. And so we want to make sure that our kids, our teachers know know the kids. Speak to them, talk to them in the hallway, make that invisible barrier disappear. Kids, if they're known by their teachers, they want to come to school because they feel like it's a place they belong, right? Remember that there was a TV show years ago called Cheers, and the theme song said, everybody wants to go where everyone knows their name, right? Well, you know, and that's the thing. Teachers students want to know that you are there for them. Okay. I'm gonna give you a really good example. I had a young teacher, first year teacher, 9th grade Algebra 1 teacher, wrote more referrals, office referrals on kids, had the highest failure rate, had classroom management issues, and everybody wanted to chalk it up to the fact that he was a first year teacher. I met with the teacher and I brought him into, we met in the conference room, and I talked to him. And so, and we talk about this in the book too as well, but I met with him and I said, here's what I see. You tell me what you see. And the first thing he said was, they don't want to do work. They don't like math, and they don't like me. And they don't want to be in school. I said, whoa. Everything was they. Nothing was him, right? And I asked him, I said, you're a 9th grade teacher. Have you gone to any 9th grade football games? Nope. Have you gone to any choir concerts? You should. Nope. When you go to the pep rally, do you just stay in your area? Do you come down where the kids can see you? I don't go to the pep rallies. I hang out in the hall. I do hall duty. Oh, okay. Have you been to any of the band concerts and any theater things? No, I haven't done those things. I said, those students don't think you're there for them. They think you're here for a paycheck. I said, this is what I want you to do. This Thursday, the freshmen are playing, and I want you to go to the game on Thursday, and I want you to walk down the track right behind the bench of the football team. And I want you to speak to the coaches. I want you to just be loud, speaking to every coach. I want everyone to see you walk behind that bench. And I want you to sit on the first row in the bleachers. And then I want you to go to there's going to be a choir concert this Saturday. It's going to be at 2:00. If you can go, I want you to go. And I want you to make sure you sit right there on the front row. So when the lights are up, everybody see you. When the lights go down, you're the last person they see. When the lights come back up, you're the first person they see. I want you on that front row. He did that, right? First of all, he enjoyed himself. Let me say that. He enjoyed himself. Secondly, the students came in the very next week saying, I saw you at the game, Mr. Hen. I saw you at the game. I saw you at the game. Now, all of a sudden, he's there for them. Okay. He's going to their events supporting them. He's at the choir concert. Oh, what was your favorite play? What was your favorite thing? What did we do wrong? And he started talking to them. The very next semester, the very next 6 weeks, grading period, almost 0 referrals. Passing rate is above school average. Classroom management, 0 classroom management issues, because students realized that he was there for them. See, that was a relationship. He built that relationship. 2 years later, Anthony, he became an assistant football coach.
Ah,
because he saw the importance of building that relationship. And you know, when I first became, I did I substituted 1 year. And on my very first job, I substituted on this teacher's desk. It said, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I thought, wow, that's a cheesy thing. But guess what? That's a reality, right? Just like an adult doesn't care how much you know until they know that you really care about them, right? Well, our students are the exact same way. So when he learned that, building that relationship, it became incredible. And so that's important, that relationship. I had teachers greet students at the door every day. How you doing? Call them by their first name.
Yeah.
That's important. You know, it's, you think about this. If your boss meets you at the front door and welcomes you in every day versus you come in and you go to your workstation, and you say, get to work. There's no relationship in the second one. There's a lot of relationship in the first one. So we did that. We worked on relationships, getting rid of invisible kids. Anthony, I'm gonna give you another one. This is a really quick one. Took over school. It had been failing 4 years. For the last 4 years, it was failing school, not a low performing school, a failing school. Low performing mean they're getting there, but they just low. Failing mean they missed the bar.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah. So I looked at a guy with my new staff. It was all the same teachers, but I had 4 brand new assistant principals. 4 brand new assistant principals had never done the job before.
Okay.
We looked at the number of students who did not belong to, were not in athletics, did not belong to a club organization, wasn't in band, wasn't in choir, wasn't in theater. And we were looking at about 60% of our kids.
Okay.
So I asked every teacher to find 2 students that were not in their classroom. And I want you to identify these 2 students. I want you to talk to them twice. I want you to talk to them twice a week in 2 different settings for 2 months. I call it the 2 by 2 by 2, right?
Okay.
And so, of course, every teacher did not do it. And you got to expect that. You know, there are some teachers who just aren't going, this is who they are, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You said every market has a madman.
Yeah.
So speak to these 2 students twice a week in 2 different settings for 2 months. By the end of that 2 months, we had dropped our referrals by 66% because students were known by teachers, right? And then teachers started saying, why don't you join choir? Why don't you join this? And students started coming to teacher's room and eating lunch during the lunch period in that teacher's room because they had a place to go, a place to belong.
Yeah.
That relationship, not adults, that relationship with an adult, that being known by teachers, that being engaged in the school, changed our whole discipline profile. We were under the state, we were stage 3, which means that when you get to stage 4, the state is going to come in and go, what's wrong with you here, right? We went from stage 3 to stage 1 in the course of a year because we dropped our referrals by 66% just by building relationships with students. And imagine how it would have been if every teacher would have done it, right? Every teacher, yeah. And here's the thing, I could tell you which teachers had not done it because their referrals remain high, their failure rate remained high, right? And those teachers left at the end of the year, and I'm okay with that.
And I can already, even before we go to the other letters, I can already see how important and how great this book is when it reminds me to check on my beliefs on the people I meet, not even only in students, but also with the people that I meet, and build relationships. So that's right. So for those of you who are joining us right now, either live or those who are going to get to listen or watch to this interview later, we are with Larry Davis, and we are covering the book that is written working with our 4D students, the 4Ds being defiant, difficult, disrespectful, and disruptive. And we've covered 2 of the letters in the acronym BRACE, which is beliefs, relationships. We'll go to the 3rd one. Maybe we may not finish all of them, but if you like, we can finish all of them. But sometimes I like leaving it there so that people can go and get the book and see the rest of them.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so let's go to A.
Attitude.
Attitude.
You know, I think attitude in life is everything, right?
Yeah.
You know, so there's 2 cliches, and everybody knows them. One is, it doesn't matter if you say you can or you can't. Whichever one you believe, that
Right.
make it so, right? It makes
Yeah.
it so. That's your attitude, right?
Yeah.
And some people say inside of our bodies, there's two animals fighting against each other. One is good, one is bad. And so, well, who wins the fight? The one that you feed the most,
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure.
Your
The one that
attitude,
you
right,
feed is going to win.
is going to win, right? So it's our attitude, and our attitude is how we change things. How we just wait a minute. See, where our belief is, this is something we truly believe is embedded. Our attitude is swayed by just our emotions, right?
Yes, and before we even go further, I'm a bit confused with these two terms, and you'd better make them clear for us so that
Yeah.
we proceed well. You're talking about something, the beliefs and attitudes seem to me like one and the same thing, or maybe make it clear for us.
Well, our beliefs are usually something cultural. Our beliefs are something in our background. Our beliefs are something that we've had we've had dealing with. So this is our beliefs. It could be something that was taught to us, and it doesn't have to make it right or wrong, right? But
Okay,
it was
yeah.
something that was taught to us, right? A belief could be, you know, a historical thought. There's something that you've heard from generation to generation, and it becomes a belief. It doesn't make it so, but it makes it a belief, right? And this is sometimes where we get the what we call them stereotypes.
Yeah.
The stereotypes become sometimes our beliefs, right? And because it's something we believe, we like, oh well, my grandparents told me this. We have a cultural or we have a historical connection to why we believe that to be so, right. Our attitude is mostly emotions, right?
Okay.
Our attitude. When someone comes to work with a bad attitude, something happened then, that moment, to spur it, right? It's emotional, right? It may not be a historical connection to it. There may not be a reason for why. It just may be that moment, right? So when you have a teacher with an attitude that, and here's a big one. There a lot of teachers in the United States started teaching years and years ago because they got Christmas off, they got spring break off, they got Thanksgiving off, they got 3 months during the summer off. That's a great job, right? Well, but over time, we've increased the academic days, and those times have been greatly reduced. So, and you had classrooms with 22, 24 kids in it. Now we have classrooms with 30 kids in it.
Yeah.
You don't get 3 whole months off. So, our attitudes can be swayed by events that's going on throughout the day.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and again, but I believe this: if you can, and as an adult, our minds are solid. They've grown, and we have the capacity as adults to deal with the not fully developed mind of a child, right?
Yeah.
Right. So a child, we know, was it Locke? Locke said children are storm and stress, right? When he categorized teenagers and adolescents as storm and stress, right? If there's a storm in their life, the kid is stressed out. But everything is a storm and everything is stressful. Well, it's not like that with adults, right?
Yeah.
And so that's our attitude. Our attitude is something that can be swayed emotionally,
Okay.
right? Or swayed by some event that just happened, right? So
Okay.
when we talk about the attitude of the adult, right? The attitude of the adult is, if Anthony acts up in my class and I have to put him out of class today, when Anthony comes back tomorrow, my attitude has to be, welcome back, Anthony.
Okay.
It has to be, thank you coming. So when I was a teacher, if and it was rare that I put a kid out of class. I mean, it had to be something crazy, right? It had to be something really way out there. But if I put a student out of class,
Yeah.
or they went to or if a student went to ISS for something they did in the building and they were gone which is in school suspension, and they were gone for 3 days. When they came back to class, that student is the first student I asked a question to.
Okay.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because I had to make sure his attitude was, oh, wow, Mr. Davis expects me to know this. And I let him know that my attitude was, welcome back. Welcome back, Anthony. Right? And so the student would go, Mr. Davis, I've been in school suspension for the last 3 days. I'm like, yeah, but I took your work up there. He goes, oh, well, I missed that. Okay, well, we're going to come back to you later, but I want you to catch up on this. So now whatever that kid has done is in the past, and he can see that because my attitude is, I'm glad you're here. You see that attitude, that daily attitude. And here's the thing. The attitude is what kids remember, right?
Yeah.
Your beliefs, they can see it. But I would tell teachers this. I need you to be a great teacher 5 out of 5 days, not 181 days, which is a whole school year, because that's too much to take on. Yeah. But I need you to be a great teacher 5 out of 5 days, because that one day you're not a great teacher is going to be the one day that students and parents remember.
And it usually happens in every other thing. I mean, something you do 100 good things, and just one of the bad things that you do changes the perspective of those who are watching you.
And they hold on to that, even though now that one thing is defining you with this group of people. But it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't with those group of people, because you know, there was just one bad day. But there's something that parents and students going to bring up. Well, you remember the time Mr. Davis threw the book at the wall because he was so angry?
Yeah.
And then every generation of kids who come into the building, is that the teacher who threw the book at a kid? Is that the teacher who threw a book at a parent? Is it going to grow?
That's what we remember.
Yeah, and you're like, wait a minute, no, I threw a book at a wall. But that's our attitude. And so our attitude has to be short. We can't hold on to it. We have to let it go, right? We have to let it go. I had a student pretty much just use profanity all the time, right? And I called his parents and I picked up the phone and said, hi, this is Mr. Davis. I'm your son's so-and-so teacher. I like, and the first thing the mom said, the mom just started, what has this? And she just started cursing just profusely, right? And for the next 30 seconds, I was just listening to her curse. And as soon as she finished, I said, well, I'd just like to tell you, he's doing a great job and just want to let you know I enjoy having him in class, right? Because in that moment, my attitude about this kid's cussing in class and using profanity all the time changed. He was only doing what happened at his household. That's the way his parents spoke. So that's how he spoke. Yeah. Right.
The first institution is at home.
Yes, that's right. And so I learned. And so I started working with that student. And I said, okay, here are 4 words you cannot use in my classroom. Right. And then I said, and here you can only, look, if you slip up and say something, fine. But then I got with the other students, listen, let's not reinforce his behavior by laughing when he uses these words. Let's move on, right? Let's just let it go, move on. And so by the end of the semester, I know this doesn't sound great, but he was down to 2, using 2 cuss words, profane words, period. Down to 2. Listen, at first it was the whole period.
I understand.
That's attitude. And so I changed his attitude, right? And here's the thing, Anthony, here's the beauty in it. It's harder to change someone's attitude, right? It's easier to change their behavior. I know people think that's not true. They think the other way around. No. So you think about this. Back in the days of when we had slavery in the United States, right? And blacks wasn't welcome here. Blacks wasn't welcome here. You had blacks only found and whites only found. Well, they did away with those things, right?
Yeah.
And so they did away with separate but equal. So kids had to come to school together. Blacks, white, Hispanics, Asian, everybody's in one building now, right? Right. So at first, remember the behavior was to block that door. Don't let the blacks in. Yeah. Right. So, but guess what? We changed the behavior because now blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asian students are being educated in the same building, in the same classroom, right? By different colored teachers. But that doesn't mean the attitude of those teachers is welcoming of those races. The behavior is changed, but the attitude isn't. The attitude, the attitude. So the behavior we can change, right? I can change your behavior at work because you want to keep your job, but it doesn't mean you're going to like me. Yeah. You're still going to have an attitude.
So the beliefs still remain and the attitude could still be there, but I am going to change the way I am going to respond to actions just because of my situation.
Yes. And here's the thing. What you want to do in that case, you want to take if I can change your behavior to do the right thing, right? Even if your attitude is negative, right? We implement new policies and things to support children learning. There's always those teachers who say, let me give you a better example. I was an administrator who said, you do not take points off late work, right? There are so many teachers who believe, well, if they turn in a day late, I should take 25 points off. Well, if here's a student who turns in a paper that's 75 and you take 25 points off, they just failed.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, no, I did away with that policy on my, that was not even the policy. That was just a practice. I did away with that practice on my campus. And no teacher liked the fact that I did away with it, right? Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of teachers did not like the fact I did away with it. But when I showed them this, the documentation, the statistics, the historical data that says, if you do all these things to make sure a child is successful, that child will be successful when it comes to end of course exams, AP exams, SAT, ACT exams, right? When you punish a kid for turning in late work, what you've done was reinforce the belief that that kid is not going to turn in any more work that year, because you have no idea what that child is going through at home. A lot of our children come to school and we treat them like children, but when they go home, their parents, they're adults, they're taking care of their siblings, they're taking care of the household, they're working, paying half the 25 to 50% of the household income, right? They're adults, but then they come in our building and we treat them like children. So I said, we're going to do away with that, right? We're going to do away with that. We're going to take these, we're not going to take points off. I had teachers who just fought it, right? Yeah. But at the end of the year, we increased our AP test taking by 42%, and we increased our passing rate by 30%.
Okay.
Some teachers came and said, Mr. Davis, you're right. I even showed them that where College Board said, you do whatever you can to get a student prepared to take the ACT, the SAT, right? The AP test. And so some of those teachers came and said, Mr. Davis, you're right. If I don't take the student's work and grade it fairly based on the scale, how do I know how this kid's going to perform on this test, right? And they were happy because their grades went up. The number of 3s, 4s, and 5s scored on the AP test was higher than ever. But then I had some teachers who left, even though they saw success. Yeah. Right. Their attitude was, I still don't believe in this. We should, because I don't think this kid should get an A. If this kid turned in on time and got an A, and this kid turned in a day late and got an A, that's not right. But there's nothing in our curriculum says time management. So what you do is when you change the behavior and the attitude is different, it's called cognitive dissonance, right? Okay. Where what you see and what you believe differ, and it causes a dilemma inside of you. Yeah. So you either go, wait a minute, my attitude is wrong, look at the behavior. Or you go, I don't really care what the behavior is yielding, this is my attitude, I'm leaving, and so either way, you have to come to grips with it, right? So that's the attitude. And that's why if we can change your behavior, and that's why we focus on that in schools and in companies, we don't really care what your attitude when you come to work. Here's your job, do your job, right? If we focus so much on the attitude, no work would get done. So then if your attitude prevents you from doing your job, then we intervene and go, okay, we're having a problem here. Right. So that's the difference between, your beliefs wouldn't let you take a job. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But your attitude. Yeah. So that's the difference. Right.
Okay. Beautiful. So do you feel kind enough or generous enough for us today to give us the rest of the?
We can talk about because the book is filled with a lot of things. Let me give you one something about culture. This is a great one about culture. Okay. When I was a regional superintendent, I traveled to 8 different cities in Texas, right? Okay. All across Texas. I'm talking about from West Texas I went from Abilene to San Antonio to Houston to Dayton to Texarkana, all over Texas. And when I would go to Houston, I would always stay at the Spring Hill Marriott, right? And I just stayed there because it was accessible. It was accessible to 2 of my campuses. I could get to both of them in 20 minutes, right? Okay. But the rooms were always clean and things like that.
I may be from far. I may not understand exactly that, but I mean, where you stayed, because I'm
the Spring Hill. Yeah, it's a hotel. The Spring Hill Marriott. It's a hotel chain. Okay. It's a part of the Marriott hotel chain. And I don't know, again, yes, I don't know if they're all international, but I know they do have some in Europe. But so Spring Hill Marriott, I would stay there. And what made me start staying there was I came in one day and the guy said, oh, Mr. Davis, is there anything we can do for you? And I said, well, can you make sure I have firm pillows? It's okay. He picks up the phone. As I get to my room, the lady is walking out and said, I just changed your pillows out to firm pillows, right?
Okay.
Wow, that's a great, man, that's what I felt. That was great customer service. I felt, wow, that was great. So the next morning, as I'm there, I'm having breakfast, I noticed that the management and their team, the maids, the front desk, the porters, the maintenance people, they're all sitting at the front counter and they're talking.
Okay.
And then they clap and leave. And it's like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the next day, I'm checking out, and I was like, oh well. 2 weeks later, I'm back there because I'm in Houston every 2 weeks. I go back, and so this time I just asked the manager. I said, okay, tell me about this meeting that you had. When I was here last time, he said, oh no, we do that every morning. Before we get started, it's called a stand, which is called an agile meeting, right? And a stand is a meeting where it's like a 15-minute meeting, and everybody chimes in. They say something, do this, they report this from today, they give good news, bad news, how can we get better? Everybody does it. And it builds morale, right? Everybody's a part of this meeting. It's not the manager or the CEO leading the meeting, it's everyone talking, right?
Oh.
And he said, Mr. Davis, he was telling me about it. He said, well, I tell you what, here's a good example. Last time you were here, when we had breakfast, you asked the young lady if we had chicken sausage, right? I said, yeah, I did. He goes, well, guess what? It's on the menu now. You can get chicken sausage. And he said, and I was like, and you remembered I asked that question? Right? And he said, well, I kind of made notes, next year thing. And so when I saw that you had made another reservation, we made sure we're going to have it on the menu today, on the buffet today. And I was like, wow. So, from now on. So the agile meeting is a cultural changer, right?
Yeah.
It allows you to come in and before your day is started, to talk about the expectations of the day. How can someone support you better? How can you support someone else better? Instead of you walking in from having a bad night, bringing that bad night into your workplace and now having a bad day at work and making everybody else have a bad day. This stand meeting, this agile meeting, it changes that whole complexity of that culture, right?
And I like the fact that culture is going to influence the relationships that we talked about before. Yeah.
Yes. It ties together. You're tying it together, and that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So you think about this. You have a classroom culture where students know what to expect, right?
Yeah.
They know when it's time they know that the first 10 minutes of class, no one's leaving the classroom. We're going to focus on our focus questions. We're going to get our homework turned in. When it's time to transition from reading to doing an activity, this is how we're going to transition, right? When you build that culture and the students know what to expect, you have less disruptions. But when you have a culture where things just kind of happen, guess what's going to happen? Problems are going to happen, right?
Yeah. Culture
is, I tell people all the time, when I look at data, they go, Mr. Davis, we're giving you a low performing school or a failing school. And they go, we got to look at the data and figure out what's going on. I can't figure out what's going on by looking at the data. I can figure out what's going on by looking at the culture.
Yeah.
See, data tells us where we are. Our culture tells us how we got there.
Oh, okay.
You think about that. Our daily practices tell us how we got there. If I have two teachers with great scores, great test scores, great student achievement, and I have two teachers doing the same other course and they're low, I can go into those classes, but I even go in there, I can tell you those two teachers with low expectations, low scores and low grades, they have bad classroom management. They have no classroom procedures. There's no culture in there of expectations, right? And I can go into those others, I can tell you that. And so I always tell teachers, do a social contract. A social contract says, okay, students, if something goes wrong, how would you like for me to handle it? And then you say, okay, if something goes wrong, how should I expect you to handle it? And the students write this contract, right?
Yeah.
And it's the expectations of the classroom. It's the behavior. If someone is constantly disrupting class, what should we do? And the class is writing this. So then they sign off on it. So this is a social contract between the teacher and the students, but it was created and written by who? Students. And so now the teacher gives you their expectations. Anthony, I'm gonna tell you this. I tell teachers all the time. If I see a teacher at the beginning of the year with 10 classroom rules, right? Don't talk, don't do this, don't 10 rules. By the end of the year, that teacher has 25 rules. Because students look at rules and decide, is it worth me breaking this rule? Right? And I want to put this in perspective. Yeah. Let's say you want to go to a concert and it's a school night and your parents say, no, Anthony, you can't go to this concert. It's Wednesday night. You can't go to a concert on school night. And if you sneak out and go, I'm going to ground you this weekend. In your mind, you think, if I go to this concert, man, I'm going to be so popular on campus. You know what? It's worth being grounded this weekend, right? You just looked at the rule versus the consequence and decided that rule is worth breaking for this. That consequence isn't big enough, right? But expectations. A friend of mine, I went to see a speaker, and I'm going to get the generation wrong. He was either the great-great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandson of Gandhi, or one of those generations, right? Okay. And he talked about, and this is expectation. He said his dad asked him to drop him off at the conference, at a meeting, and he had to take the car to the shop. His dad said, pick me up at 3 o'clock. It'll be over, they'll be done with the car. Well, over there, the Westerns are big movies, right? They love Western movies. And so they noticed that across the street from the shop was a theater, and it was showing 3 John Wayne movies, right? Okay. So the son went over there and watched the 3 John Wayne movies. Okay. When he came out, it was 4 o'clock. So he went to pick up his dad, and his dad says, I've been waiting an hour. What took you long? And he said, they just finished the car. And the dad said this. He said, you know what? They lived, I'm gonna say 18 miles, 9 miles from the place, right? From the meeting, 9 miles. He said, I can't believe that I did such a poor job as a father that I raised a son who would lie to me. He said, I am so ashamed of myself. I don't deserve to ride in a car with you. He made the son follow him as he walked 9 miles home. Oh. Now, do you think yelling at the kid would have been worse, or having to follow your dad home as he walked 9 miles because you lied to him? What do you think? Which way? That's a culture of expectation. Do you think that child lied to his dad again? He can't. No, he couldn't. He was like, and the guilt on that son for lying, because the dad didn't say, you lied to me. The dad said, I did such a poor job that I raised a son who would lie to me. I don't deserve to ride in the car with you. Interesting. Right? And the beauty in it is, if he had yelled at the son would have been okay with that, because picking him up late, I saw the movies, I picked you up late, I lied to you, and you yelled at me. I'm okay with that, right? That's a deal. That's a deal. But having to drive behind your dad as he walked 9 miles home, you can't live with that.
Oh, wonderful. And I like that you say, I made 10 rules now. By the end of the year, I'm gonna have 25.
Those kids break rules. That's what they do.
They like breaking. They like breaking.
It's a joke, right? They say rules are meant to be broken, right? It's kind of a cliche. Rules are meant to be broken, but expectations. See, and that's, people confuse those two. Rules are, you can't do this, you got to do this. That's a rule. Expectations are built for your success.
And that's the E in the brace that we are talking about.
Oh no, the E is environment.
Environment. Oh, okay.
Environment.
So environment. Okay.
Environment.
So the expectations are in the culture.
The expectations are in everything, right?
In everything, okay.
In everything, but I'm just saying, when you have expectations, if I don't live this expectation, the teacher has a way for me to meet this expectation by doing another assignment. Okay. When you break a rule, you're punished. Yeah. There's no reward in it. There's no benefit in breaking the rule other than punishment. If you don't live up to this expectation, well, let's do some more studying. I'm gonna let you retest to get you here, right? So expectations come with promise. Rules come with punishment. So Now, I tell you this, when I go to places and I talk about culture and I talk about environment, a lot of people like to think it's the same, right?
Okay, tell us a bit about
But it's not.
environment.
So, and here's how I like to say it.
Mm,
You and I can have a conversation, right, about anything, right?
mhm, mhm,
And we know the culture of that conversation, right? That right, but the climate, right, around the whole conversation is the culture, is the
mhm,
environment, right?
mhm.
So you've been in school before, and you know there's teachers who have great classroom management, and there's teachers who don't.
Yeah.
But if you ever go to a school or a building, when you see this great atmosphere, when
Mhm.
all the teachers have the same kind of expectations, the same kind of classroom culture, the same beliefs, same attitude, that's the environment. The
Okay.
entire building embraces that environment. And now
Mhm,
that's really difficult to do, right? Because you have so many teachers coming and going. But if you give a teacher a mentor teacher, right, to help them
mhm.
understand that environment, right? When students come into the building, there's a come into that environment, they expect that. And I believe this is what I believe. I believe this wholeheartedly that
Yeah.
it's not where our kids come from, it's what we bring them into that helps them learn, right?
Oh, okay.
So if we create that environment, if you take Anthony, what is your favorite bottled water? Do you drink bottled water?
Yeah, not so much, but I do.
Yeah. So if you ask somebody, what's your favorite bottled water? They're going to give you different brands, right?
Yeah,
And they're
right
going
now
to tell you,
I'm gonna give you one from Greece because I'm in Greece that you may not be having where you are.
sure, but yeah, but here's the thing. But whatever I tell you, oh, my favorite water is Voss, whatever.
Mm,
I'm going to tell you why this water is better than all the other waters, right?
yeah.
I'm going to tell you why. But if I take all those different bottled waters and I pour them into an ice tray,
Mm,
right? And I don't tell you which ice is which. I mean, which water I put into which tray. And I
yeah.
take that ice tray and I place it into the freezer in an environment of 32 degrees.
Yeah.
It's going to turn to ice at the exact same time.
Exactly.
So no matter where our kids come from, no matter where they come from, if we pour them into an environment that's built on high expectations, student success, student-centered, where adults take time and invest in kids, our students are going to have success,
Mm,
right? That's that
yeah.
environment, right?
Mhm.
And that's why some students have success in some classes and they struggle in other classes. It's not because, oh, this kid is great at math and not English. No, it's because this teacher is great at what they do. Because the next year, the teacher is great at English and not great at math because they have a different teacher. But when we create that environment where every classroom has that same culture,
Yeah.
they're going to be successful. Now, Anthony, I'll tell you this. There are some people who are going to say, well, Mr. Davis, when you bring the ice out, I can still tell you which ice is this and which ice is that. You know, some ice is going to be a little bit more sharper than the other. And I'll just tell them, well, that'll be your valedictorian and your salutatorian. But the regardless is, if we create the environment and place students in that environment, they're going to be successful.
Ah, beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
But as long as we have a building filled with an environment filled with different classroom cultural expectations, we're going to have different results.
And
So
I agree
that's the
with you
environment.
because I've had this experience where after doing an exam, and everybody might have had this experience, a school does an exam, not a school, but rather maybe a whole district do an exam. And then we have one great performing school in such a in one subject. And then you'll come back to discover that it's the teacher that maybe created that environment or taught well or had great relationships with the students. So I agree with you in what you've said.
And here's the thing. The worst thing we can do is when we have that great teacher,
Mm-hmm.
is to keep that teacher in a silo.
Uh-huh.
That teacher now needs to share across the network what they're doing to be so successful, right? To
Uh-huh.
demonstrate lessons, just here's the thing. So we have adult talk and student talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, I'm a teacher, I'm explaining to the class, and some kids got, Mr. Davis, I don't get it. So I have another student explaining to them, and they say exactly what I said, and the kid goes, I get it, I get it. right? Students understand students, teachers understand teachers. So when an administrator is trying to explain something, it may not go as well as if you have a teacher explain to other teachers. Right? And that is called peer tutoring, right? We know that works. So when you have that teacher who constantly has these great scores and that teacher isn't sharing with anyone else, that teacher is not a great teacher. She's a good teacher. She becomes a superstar teacher when she shares with everybody else. And now every teacher is doing what she's doing. Every student is learning. But as long as it's just my students being the best, it's not a good environment.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So knowledge should be shared widely with the others. In the school, in the district, or wherever they are, they should come together and tell the others what they are doing good so that we may all excel in that area.
Exactly. And it's called knowledge processing, right? Because I can give it to you, Anthony, but if you don't use it, it's just information until you put it to work. Once you put it to work, it becomes knowledge.
Okay.
But if you just have it, it's just information. So now I shared this great information. We did this knowledge processing across all these schools. Now it's up to the leadership to make sure that teachers are doing it. Follow up on it, right?
Good.
Because there are so many teachers who are going to get that information, go to their classroom, close the door, and keep doing what they were doing.
Whoa. Thank you very much, Larry. So for those who are joining right now, or you get to listen to this at this point, we are at Book Talk, and we have Larry Davis as a guest today, and he's written a book working with our 4D students, the 4Ds being defiant, difficult, disrespectful, disruptive students. And it's my feeling that this book is not only important to teachers or parents in this case, it's important for all of us to get to go into that book and gather that information that is there and make it our knowledge and increase in our wisdom. Now, thank you very much also the viewers who've been with us and those who get to listen after we are through with this conversation. And I would like to read a comment that is from one of the viewers, who is John Kafuenyaga. He says, enough punishment for the son in lying to the dad. Can't imagine how painful to the son. Quite a lesson to the son, so practical. That's on the example that you gave. And we are just about to get off this interview, and we covered just a little bit of what is in that book. We covered the acronym that Larry teaches, which is BRACE, B-R-A-C-E. That was beliefs, relationships, attitude, culture, and environment. Now, maybe in 1 minute, just give us a brief of the other points that we may get from that book, please, Larry.
Well, here's the thing, and I want everyone who reads the book to understand this book is about student success. And that often the barriers to student success are the beliefs, the relationships, the attitude, the culture, and environment that adults set. That we need to rethink it. Every generation is different. We have to rethink how we approach and connect with our children. Here's a great quote that says, too many students don't know what success feels like. Thus, repeated failure is no longer scary or painful. It becomes the norm, right? And here's the thing about, I want you to picture this. The student who needs love the most will ask for it in the most unloving ways.
Interesting.
Attention, negative attention is still attention.
Oh, yeah.
If we build relationships with our kids, we're giving them the attention they need. If we engage them into our classrooms, we're getting the attention they deserve. If we connect them to the school, they're no longer invisible. Right? We have to do our part as adults. We can't just, we learned a long time ago that different students learn in different ways, but we still haven't started teaching to those different modalities, right? We know that there's different learning styles, right? We know there's auditory, visual, kinesthetic, there's music, there's numbers. We know all these different things. I think at last I looked, there's 9 or 10 different learning styles, right? If we built an environment where we taught to those learning styles and we put kids in those rooms based on those learning styles, what kind of success will we have, right? The student will truly feel that this school was built for me, right?
Mhm.
And so what I would like to leave every educator out there with, and I know this is not the most positive thing to say, but I'm going to tell you this. Every school in the world was built to educate children, not to employ adults.
Interesting. Every
Right?
school in the world was built to educate students, not to employ adults.
That's right.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming to our book talk show, and the wisdom that you shared with us is very important for us, and we are going to employ it. But we have to get the book. So tell us, where can we get this book?
This book you can get at larryddavis.com. Right? You can go and get the book there, and you can get the book at amazon.com.
Yeah, beautiful. We're going to get it. So those who are listening or watching, go get the book. If you're an educator, that's good. Go and apply it in your school. If you're a parent if you're a parent, you need also to go and get the book, because school starts at home.
It starts. If you're a teacher, take it to your principal and your superintendent and let them know that they need to get this book, and I will gladly come and do workshops with your schools and your communities.
That would be great. And I believe it's all over the world, not only in the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Maybe as a norm, as we usually do, before we go, give us some few words that we're going to remember you with.
Words of wisdom. The needs of children should always outweigh the wants of adults.
Oh, beautiful. The needs of the students should always outweigh the needs of adults.
The wants of adults.
Oh, the wants.
The needs of students should always outweigh the wants of adults.
The wants of that's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. What an episode. We really appreciate you, Rai, and thank you very much for coming onto our show. And yes, and thank you also to the viewers. Thank you. Please share this with your friends, your students, your school, everyone that should listen to this and get this wisdom from Larry. Please share it with them. And you can find us on all the other podcast platforms: Stitcher, Google Podcast, iTunes, name it. Just go search for Book Talk at Book Place and you'll get us there. Thank you very much, and bye for now. Bye.